The question is, are you better off paying your student loan early or are you better off spending that money elsewhere? Stay tuned until the end to find out what I did with my personal loan. Taking up further studies in Australia, going to university or going to TAFE, you can easily accumulate thousands of dollars with student loan payments. The good thing in Australia is that you don't need to pay for your studies up front and you only need to pay a portion of it when you hit a certain income level. So if we were to have a look at the student loan repayments table, if you have a look, if you earn below $48,361, you actually don't need to start repaying your HECS or your student loan back. As your income increases with your jobs, your HECS payments would automatically be deducted before you get your take-home pay. And from what we can see here, if you earn above $141,000, you then need to start contributing about 10% of your total income to pay towards your student loan.
So let's say your annual salary is $100,000. As per the HECS repayment table, you have to pay about 7% of your income per year towards HECS. So that means it's $7,000. If you divide that by 12, you get the monthly rate of about $583.
Here are a few things you need to consider before deciding to pay off your student loan. 1. Indexation. Indexation is applied on the 1st of June every single year, and it is a number which is in line with the inflation rates. These numbers are calculated after the March quarter inflation numbers are released. Sometime during the end of April is when we'll get to know what the indexation is for the following financial year. In 2022, so last year, the indexation factor was about 3.9%. However, the December quarter headline inflation rate figures came back at about 7.8%. This suggests that there are definitely higher numbers to come in March. So what does this actually mean? So, for example, if you have a HECS debt or a student loan of about $50,000 and indexation is applied, so let's say it's 7%, then what you need to do is find 7% of that $50,000 and then add that to your total existing student loan. So 7% indexation on $50,000 takes your new student loan to about $53,500. Therefore, it is advised that if you are thinking of paying down your student loan, that you do this before June 1st, before the New Year's indexation applies. So what this means is if you've got a student loan of $50,000 and let's say you contribute about $5,000 to pay that off and you make voluntary contributions, then on the 1st of June, whatever balance is sitting in your HECS account or your student loan, and that is where the 7 or 8% indexation will apply. So now you're left with $45,000 as a student loan. The 7% will be applied to the $45,000, not the $50,000.
What's important to note is say that indexation is about 7%, so any repayments previously made for income earners at this tax bracket essentially mean that you're not even paying down your student loan because of the 7% indexation, which is crazy.
Because of the increases in inflation or the rising cost of living in Australia and around the world, you could consider that paying off your student loan would be a smart move given that it's only going to increase over time. 2. Pay other outstanding debts first. We are currently in a very high interest rate environment at the moment. Therefore, you might consider paying off your other debts as there is an interest component attached to that and there is no interest component attached to your student loan. All that it is that the student loan has been adjusted or indexed to reflect the inflation rates. However, with your car loan, your personal loan, or even your credit card loan, you actually have interest payments that you need to make, and those interest rates, as we can see, are quite high at this time. And like we said, HECS is only calculated in line with your income. As your income increases, your HECS repayments will also increase as well. So for example, someone with an $80,000 income per year, and if you have a look at the HECS brackets, you can see that they would need to contribute 5% of their income to pay towards their HECS. Now, given the average HECS debts in Australia are around $24,000, you would see someone having to contribute $4,000 per year to pay down their student loan. However, what's important to note is that if you are paying $4,000 per year towards your student loan and you're thinking of paying more to pay down your HECS, you might want to consider your other debts that you've got outstanding, like I mentioned before, because we all know interest rates are high at the moment, so your repayments might be higher on those existing debts. Therefore, it's important to decipher to what is costing you more. Is it your existing debts or is it your student loan that you'd like to pay off? 3. Opportunity cost. If you had a lump sum amount of money sitting around in your bank account Think about what you would do with that money. But what you would need to think about is what would actually yield better results for you. Although this might be an emotional one and many people might think they want to buy their first home or get started with investing or even just going on a holiday or buying a new car, it might be a smart decision to have a look at maybe paying off your student loan first. Because remember, as your income increases, your student loan also increases as well. And a scenario which I'll explain later on in this video is that your HECS does affect your borrowing capacity if you are looking at purchasing investment properties in the future. 4. Consider future potential income. As you continue working, it is assumed that your income will increase over time. Now, what that means is that more of your money will be taken out before it reaches you. It will be paid towards your student loan, and this can be up to a rate of 10% of your total income. This obviously means that if you're paying more money towards your student loan, it'll be paid down faster, but it also means your take-home income is decreasing. Say someone is on a $120,000 salary package and they contribute 8.5% of their income towards their HECS as per the table. This would mean that over the year they would contribute $10,200 towards paying down their HECS. Now, if you didn't have your HECS payment there, you could essentially have taken that additional $10,200 and that could be part of your take-home pay, and that essentially could be about $1,000 extra per month that you could pocket and use for things around your savings funds, a holiday, a car, or even just general recreational activities for the family. So it's important to think about what's important for you. 5. HECS affects borrowing power. Now, this is the exact reason why I decided to pay off my student loan. Having a student loan definitely affects your borrowing capacity and also your serviceability to be able to service and budget for that loan, therefore affecting your possibilities on building on that investment portfolio. As you're paying more of your student loan off, lenders will consider that as a form of debt, and that is calculated towards your household expenditure measure. And this is what brings your borrowing down. But don't worry, your HECS or your student loan does not impact your credit history or your credit score. In fact, stats indicate that there are over 500,000 people in Australia who have HECS bills over $40,000. So what did I do? I essentially bought investment properties, and over time those investment properties have appreciated in value. So what I have done is I have been able to extract some of that equity. So that means bringing my loans back up to about 85 to 88% and then taking out those surplus funds, and I've used that money to pay off my HECS bill. The reason I've done that, as I mentioned before, is because I wanted to increase my borrowing capacity. I want to be able to build on my investment portfolio, be able to purchase more investment properties. So if that's the goal for you as well, then this might be an alternative, because when you get a refinance done and you get that equity, you don't actually feel the pinch to your pocket, and it doesn't seem like you are contributing out of your own savings or your pool of funds to pay down your HECS payment. Once you get that refinance, you can literally put that money to pay towards your HECS, and it is as easy as that, and you don't actually feel the transfer of money, and you don't feel sad about having to pay lots of money, because that money, you didn't have it to begin with and it's just been transferred in to pay for your HECS. So whatever it is that you decide to do, make sure you weigh up the pros and cons of paying off your HECS, because one option may be better than the other, and it all depends on your goals and what you want to do with your money. So with that, I'm going to leave it here. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok accounts, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks, guys.